Hello there, and then welcome to this brand new video. This is How Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. Now, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to be able to determine all these values you see on the screen here without any memorization, right? So basically, these are the sine or the trigonometric ratios, specifically sine, cosine, and then tangent of 0 degrees, 30 degrees, 45, 60, and then 90. And we are going to generate or just by looking at our left hand, right? So without much I say, let's quickly go into it. So on your screen, we have the left hand, right? And on this left hand, you can also use your left hand. Now, you let your pinky finger or the smallest finger be 0 degrees, followed by 30, you have 45, 60, and then 90, right? So that is how we are going to do our representation. Now, anytime we take a finger, you should be able to tell how many fingers are above and then below it. You see? So in that case, if I take out this finger, then it simply means we have what? We have 2 fingers above it, and we also have 2 fingers below it. You see? If I take out this finger, then we have just 1 below it, and we have what? 3 above it. If I'm to take this one, we have 4 below it, and we have nothing above it, right? So these are what some concepts we'll be using, and I do hope you'll be able to get along with it. Let's start with the cosine. So if you want the cosine of 0 degrees, this arrow here, I mean above. For this arrow here, if the arrow is pointing downwards, then I mean below. So this is above, this is below. The cosine of an angle is just the number of fingers above that particular finger all over 2. The square root of the number of fingers above all over 2. But the sine is what? The square root of the number of fingers below all over 2. So we'll be doing these two together, after which we come to the tangent. So looking at our very first one, we want the sine of 0 degrees. So the sine, no, that's cos. So the cosine of 0 degrees. And as the formula says, let's look at the number of fingers above. So if this is the 0 degrees finger, the number of fingers above, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's equal to the square root of 4 all over 2. And we all know the square root of 4 to be what? 2 over 2. And 2 over 2 gives us a 1. So this simply means the cosine of 0 gives us 1. You see how simple it is? Now let's look at that of sine. Sorry, yeah, so that of sine. So we have the sine of 0 degrees. It says the number of fingers below. Sine has to do with the number of fingers below. So the number of fingers below the 0, we literally have 0. So that is the square root of 0 fingers below all over 2. And the square root of 0 gives us a 0. Then we have over 2. 0 over any number is still what? 0. It means the sine of 0 is equal to what? 0. As simple as that. You can look at your table to confirm. Looking at our table, you see that the sine of 0 gives us 0. And then the sine of 0 gives us 0. And then the cosine of 0 also gives us what? 1. Just as we've proved over here with this finger. Right? So that is just it. If you understand this concept, you'll be able to do all. Just understand that if you want the cos, it is the square root of the number of fingers above all over 2. If you want the sine, the square root of the number of fingers below all over what? 2. Let's do one last example, then I'll take you through that of the tangent. So trying with the cos of 60 degrees, right? So for 60, then the finger we are going to look at is this one over here. You see? And then we say how many fingers are above it? Just 1. So we have the square root of 1 all over 2. And we know the square root of 1 is what? Is 1. So 1 over 2. Hence cos 60 degrees is what? 1 over 2. Then what of the sine of 60 degrees? The same thing. We look at the number of fingers below the finger we have labeled as what? 60 degrees. And we have 1, 2, 3. So the square root of 3 all over 2. Right? And if you have to look at our table over here, cos 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Sorry, sine 60 is the square root of 3 over 2. And then the cos of 60 is what? 1 over 2. Just as we have done with these fingers over here, right? So if you have been able to understand just these two that I did, you should be able to do same for 45, 30, and then 90 as well. And I think you'll be able to remember all of this in your examination, or just memorize that cos is what? The number of fingers above over 2, the square root of the number of fingers above over 2, and then the sine is what? The square root of the number of fingers below all over. So now that we know how to deal with the cos and then the sine, let's look at how to deal with the tangent. So if you want the tangent of any of these angles here, then it's going to be the square root of the number of fingers below all over the square root of the number of fingers above. Right? So it's below over above. So how do you apply it? Just like the previous one. It's going to be the tangent for 0. We have the tangent of 0 being the square root of how many fingers do we have below? How many fingers do we have below? We literally have 0 fingers below. Then how many fingers do we have above? Square root of 4. And square root of 0 is giving us 0 all over square root of 4, which is what? 2. And 0 over any number will still give us what? 0. So the tangent of 0 is 0. And if you look at the table over here, you can clearly see that the tangent of 0 degrees gives us 0. All right? Okay. Now let's look at the tangent of 30 degrees. So for the tangent of 30 degrees, we are still using the same procedure. The square root of number of fingers below, we just have one finger below that of the 30 degrees. So 1 all over the square root of number of fingers above, 1, 2, 3. So 3. And we know the square root of 1 gives us what? 1. And then the square root of 3 gives us square root of 3. Right? So it means the tangent of 30 degrees gives us 1 over the root of 3. As you can see over here, tangent of 30 degrees is 1 over root of 3. You see? So that is how it just is. Take note that the tangent of an angle, depending on what we are doing over here, then it is the square root of the number of fingers below that finger representing the angle all over the square root of the number of fingers above, right? Yes. So that is just it for this video. In a subsequent video, I might solve practical questions that will be applying this trigonometric ratios. I do hope you understand. You can let me know what the trigonometric ratios of the ones I have left unanswered in the comment section. I do hope it helps for preparation towards your exams. Stay safe and good luck.